Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm so happy you're joining us today. Now, before we get started, I wanted to remind you that all proceeds from our channel are donated to charity. Please help give by visiting our sponsors, subscribing to our channel, or just giving us a thumbs up. We really appreciate your support. We have loads more videos about meaningful locations around the world, great travel hacks, and useful travel gear like what we're going to show you today. Now let's cue the music. Now today we're going to show you one of the most popular travel bags around the world, Le Pliage by Longchamp. This bag, which I have fully folded up right now, is inspired by the Japanese art of origami. This folding tote bag has been one of Longchamp's most popular tote bags for many, many years. And I'm going to show you some of the features of it so you can understand why it has been so highly rated. Now what I bought is the expandable Le Pliage tote bag, and this is pretty useful for travel, and you can even understand more why it's inspired by the art of origami, because this tote, which is currently this size, actually expands into a bigger tote bag. This is an updated version, and I bought it at the Nordstrom anniversary sale when it typically goes on sale, that and usually Black Friday. And I've been reading about this bag for a very long time, so I wanted to give it a try. What sort of things am I going to go over with you today? I'm going to go over some of the construction of this bag, the appearance of the bag, some of the colors. I'll show you the inside of it, and I'm going to compare it to some of the common bags that I like to use for travel. And at the end, I'm going to go over what I think the cons of this bag are and my final decision about whether I'm going to keep it or not. Okay, now I have a little disclaimer. My name is Michelle, but that does not mean that I speak French. So I'm probably going to mess up the pronunciation of some of the French words. You may have even noticed that already. But again, this bag is made by the French designer company Longchamp, and the name of it is Le Pliage. Okay, first let me go over a little bit about the company. Now, the brand Longchamp has been around in France for many, many years. The company began in 1948, and actually it was a small company that crafted small leather smoking items and ultimately decided to get into the luxury leather business. So eventually they expanded into a company that makes luggage, handbags, and other small luxury goods for men and women. Now, the logo for this is, you may have noticed in the past, is a small horse. And what does that mean? There's a famous racetrack in Paris called Longchamp, or Longfield, and that's really what the horse or the racing horse in the logo is meant to represent. The founder of Longchamp used to have his shop near the Longfield or the racetrack and pass by it every day, and eventually decided to take this name as the company name, and of course the logo being the racing horse. Now, why this bag is called Le Pliage, there are a lot of Le Pliage bags by Longchamp, and this is specifically the expandable tote. And it is something that is exclusively at Nordstrom's. Now, you will find other Le Pliage bags, like a duffel bag or other travel bags and other tote bags sold at other locations, but the expandable tote itself is a Nordstrom exclusive. So as I told you, I'm going to go over different aspects of this bag. So first I want to talk about the appearance of it itself. Now it is made from a nylon with the leather trim or handles itself being in the classic Longchamp leather, and of course the other trim located right here as a closure. It has some hardware that is gold on this particular bag on the zipper, and with the expandable zipper in the middle of the bag really blending into the aspect of the bag itself. Of course, the hardware on the zipper though is a different color than you will find in the top zipper itself. So on this particular bag, the top zipper is gold, with the expandable zipper kind of being a gunmetal color, and the snap for the foldable leather on the top, which helps you make this into a smaller bag, but also allows you to have an additional security feature for closing it, is gold itself to match the upper hardware on the bag. First, I want to compare this bag in size to some of the other bags I have. Now you see it right now. I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. This is not fully expanded, and what you have now is a 9-inch drop on these leather straps. And again, right now it's probably about the size of a medium tote bag. So let me compare it to some of my other bags that I use all the time. This is, again, my usual travelon travel bag. I've reviewed this in the past. Please look at that review when you get a chance. And you can see the size here in comparison to my travelon bag. Really, when it's unexpanded, not a lot bigger than my usual carry-on tote. Now I also have a brand new Ilse Jacobson tote bag, which I'm going to review shortly for you when it's not expanded. Let's just see how this compares. This is, again, really hard to do to compare the size, but the Ilse Jacobson is a little bit bigger than that right now. Now, of course, when this bag is fully expanded, it's going to be a lot bigger. The actual dimensions of this, when it's fully expanded, are about 12 inches wide by about 16 inches deep, and then 7 inches in depth if you had it fully stuffed. So let me go ahead and show you how this expands. You have to go on the back side. Remember, it has that gunmetal hardware. You unzip this all the way around to the very end, and then just kind of pull from each end, and you'll see how much it fully expands. Again, this is kind of hard to do fully in here, and I'll take some B-reels to show you just a little bit more. So here it is fully unexpanded, and on the end it's going to have a little, I mean, if you've ever zipped up a jacket, you know that you have that little slip on the zipper. So if you unclip that zip, then it's going to be, again, just one full looking tote bag. So let me go ahead and show you how this compares to some of my other, again, favorite travel bags once it's fully expanded. First, we have that Ilse Jacobson bag that I'm going to review for you shortly, and you can see that the top is, of course, still about the same, about 12 inches, and then the bottom of it allows you a lot more room now that it's expanded. I'm going to compare it to my travelon bag that I use all the time. Definitely a bigger bag than my usual personal item travelon anti-theft bag. And again, if you've not looked at that review, please go ahead and look at it. I have another bag that I use all the time as a personal item because it's compressible when I get onto a plane, and that's a Vera Bradley Weekender tote bag. This one has got a lot of miles on it. You can see my luggage tag on it. So let's look at that, because I really think that this bag would probably take the place of a personal item for me when I'm flying. So here's my, again from the side, my Vera Bradley Weekender tote bag, and that gives me a little extra width, but the depth of the Le Pliage is a little bit bigger. So I have a feeling when I go to travel with the Le Pliage, if I decide to keep it, that I'm probably going to be able to fit about the same amount of stuff in this bag when it's fully expanded compared to the Vera Bradley Weekender tote. Okay, let me take this expanded bag now and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put a few things in it that I normally might take on the plane so you can just kind of see how it functions. So you know that I love to travel with my Travelon Classic Messenger bag. This is my favorite bag to take overseas because of the security aspects of it. And it fits down inside there very easily, and I still have a lot of room to put more stuff in here as my personal items. So I have my MacBook Pro. That fits in there very easily. And actually really doesn't feel like it weighs a lot with these very secure handles, and I like that. And then I'm going to throw in, just for the heck of it, one of my Bagale packing cubes, and let's just see how that fits down in there. Just now with all this other stuff in there. And look at that, fits pretty well. And again, I think this is going to be very similar to my Vera Bradley Weekender duffel bag or tote bag that I use on a regular basis. So this still zips up very easily with all these things that I have in there, and still have room for a scarf and maybe some snacks, and of course my other things that are necessities when I travel, like my passport and other paperwork. Okay, so the material of this, it's again a lightweight, kind of dense nylon, and the inside of it is a white nylon, which is water resistant on the inside. Again, the hardware, I showed you the hardware earlier, but the hardware is a gold color on the snaps and on the upper, with the hardware on the actual expandable zipper being a gunmetal color. The stitching around this is a little odd, and I'll talk about this probably in more detail. You probably can't see this really well, but the stitching around where the expandable zipper is almost a whitish color. It doesn't really match the color of the bag. Now, mentioning the color, I picked a Dahlia color, which ended up being this beautiful berry color. This was on sale for the Nordstrom anniversary sale. It comes in a lot of colors, like a khaki, and black is probably the most popular color. It has gray. If you have a favorite color, I will bet that you'll be able to find it. The leather on it, if you look closely, and you can probably see the emblem right there, is a pebbled camel color. That same leather is present on the straps and on the trim. Overall, you know, when you travel, things are going to get dirty, particularly on a plane. Because of this dense weave to the nylon itself, it cleans very easily, and that makes me feel confident to take this anywhere, that I could just take, you know, a washcloth or a towel in my hotel and wipe it clean. The lining on this bag is white on the inside, which, you know, is not actually a favorite of mine. I would bet this is going to get pretty dirty, but this lining itself is water resistant, and when you touch it, you can kind of feel the difference between this lining and the outside of the bag. And of course, it could wipe clean, and it's nice to have something water resistant, particularly if you're going to be traveling in a rainy environment, obviously, or if you're going to the beach or something like that, where you want to put maybe your towel and your sunscreen and maybe electronics in here, then you don't want them to get wet or damaged by any type of moisture. You will see when you look at the inside of this bag that there is no inside pocket. It is just one big, large, central tote bag. Now, what do you do when you actually want to not use this as the expandable tote? Again, remember I showed you that it has that kind of clip closure like you would have on a jacket. You would line up the zipper with the area of closure like you would on the bottom of a jacket, and then you just start kind of squishing it together and zip it up so that you have a smaller bag to use maybe in the evenings, or when you are packing this up or heading home, or for whatever reason, maybe for storage purposes. And you just kind of have to work this a little bit when you close it to make sure that all the parts are inside. And then of course you have a smaller bag, and when you want to go ahead and close this up, it's pretty easy to do that. You just fold all this up and you'll see a zipper. The straps are getting me. There's a little clip that comes around. You go ahead and just clip that right there. And then you have a little bag. This is really not functional when it's like this, but to pack it, this is certainly very good. You have a bag about the size of a paperback book, so you can store this pretty easily. Okay, I want to go over some of the cons of this bag and what I didn't like about it. First of all, the fact that you have this large internal area. To me, I like to be just a little more organized when I travel, and maybe have some mesh pouches on the inside, or a place to lock my keys to, or even an inside pocket just to give me a little added extra security when I'm traveling around with things in my bag that I want to be careful with. So when you use this, you're probably going to have some little pouches or little dividers, maybe even Ziploc bags to keep things in place or organized on the inside. For me, especially if I'm traveling with valuables, I'm going to probably have to use my little Trova safe that I've reviewed before that gives me a little extra personal safety for smaller items like jewelry or cash, things like that. And if you haven't looked at that review, please go ahead and take a look at that too. It's a really interesting product. Of course, the bottom of this is very soft, and it has to be so that you can collapse it or expand it appropriately. But you may need to buy little bag shapers for this, and I have a bunch of these that I use for example, some of my Louis Vuitton bags or some of my other tote bags. And the shapers are really nice to put in the bottom, and I'll put a link to these below that fit this. They're nice to use when you have the bag actually out for the evening, or you're using it for any purpose whatsoever, to just give a little bit of shape to the bag and allow you to find things a little bit easier in the bottom, because the bag isn't collapsing on you as much. Some of you might find the price of this bag to be a con, and honestly, at $195 full price for this bag, that's a lot of money, and you could find some pretty good options out there that may be a little more functional for you, or may have a better color or quality for you at that price. I got it for around $145 at the Nordstrom anniversary sale, and that's still a lot of money, and there weren't a lot of great colors like the popular black on sale at that time. So I suspect if you want to get black, you're going to probably have to pay the full price of $195. And who knows if that price is going to go up in the future, because that's been a pretty steady price right along. The next con is that I really wish this had a crossbody strap, because it would give you just a little more versatility in carrying it. It does not have to be on the bag all the time. Just give it some little loops right here that you can attach either your favorite strap or a strap that comes with this, to just allow you some versatility in how you carry it, because sometimes your shoulders get weary and you want to find some other way to carry it. Sometimes you need to have your hands a little bit more free so that something's not slipping off your shoulder when you're at the airport or doing whatever touring for the day. Another con, you may have already realized that I was probably going to say this because I've mentioned it a couple times. I really wish that the hardware on this bag was uniform all the way around. I cannot understand why you would use a gold hardware for the snap and the upper, and then use a gunmetal piece of hardware for the zipper. It just does not make any sense to me. just make this gold or make it the same color to blend in with the bag itself. The zipper does a nice job of matching the color of the bag, but you know, why did you stick a gunmetal piece of hardware or zipper pull on this, whereas you have gold on everything else? So that's just kind of a strange thing to me. The next con for me is, why does this bag not have some sort of trolley strap on the back? And I think that would be something to engineering wise or design wise to incorporate that into the back of the bag, because gosh, you know, people are going to use this for travel, and one of the biggest items or functions of a bag that I love is to have a trolley sleeve. So you know a trolley sleeve is that thing where you would put this over your piece of luggage so that it does not move when you're traveling. So I've seen people using this bag a lot at the airport, and they always end up having to put their straps over their luggage tube to hold this bag in place. And I don't love having to do that because I think it's not a very secure way of keeping my bag in place. Sometimes the bag will shift to the side, and it gets to be kind of a nuisance when you're at the airport. So I would really love to have a travel sleeve on that, and a trolley sleeve. A trolley sleeve is just one of the most important design features of any travel bag that I use. Okay, this is the last con, and this is probably the big kicker for me. I just don't think the quality of this bag is worth $195 full price, and even for me, I got it for $145 at the Nordstrom anniversary sale. It is okay. It doesn't have a lot of the features that I would really like to have on a travel bag. Yes, it is expandable, and that is probably the one great thing about it. And yes, it has water-resistant lining, and it has a good weave to it that I could clean the outside, and the leather is really nice. But, it just annoys me when you see the stitching quality on this, and I'll try and get a close-up photo of this for you, where the stitching is white. It seems to kind of not be very uniform. It just looks cheap when you see it up close, and I really hate that about this bag. And honestly, this does not have enough good qualities for me to pay that price, and it is going to go back to Nordstrom. I'm not going to use this for travel. Sorry, everybody. I know that this is such a popular bag, but I really don't see why. I think for the same price, I probably can find a much better Tumi bag, or even probably a nice travelon bag, and I'll get some security features out of it, as well as some of the features that I see right now. I can always roll up another bag, probably, and stick it in my bag and store it very easily. So the expandability, or being able to make this smaller, like the size of a paperback book, really are not that important to me. Always remember to make meaningful and healthy travel happen. And I really hope that you enjoy traveling and travel gear as much as we do. Don't let this toad among princes dissuade you. Please take a minute and look at some of our other videos that we've done about some of our favorite travel bags or travel locations. And I'll be sure to put some links in the comments below for you so that you can find this bag if you like the features of it, or some of our other bags as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.